Member Sewell and members of the subcommittee for joining us today. As the former Florida Secretary of State and Chief Elections Official, I am passionate about ensuring that every state administers safe and secure elections and that voters across America have confidence in our elections system. Each member of this subcommittee brings unique experience with elections, and I look forward to the work we can accomplish together. I believe both the Republicans and Democrats have a common goal of ensuring that every eligible American citizen has an opportunity to vote and for their ballot to be counted and to be secure. Each of our states share many of the same challenges, and we will work together to ensure we're addressing cyber and physical infrastructure, emergency management strategies, and that we provide insight to states across America about best practices and tried and true methods for conducting secure and accurate elections. Where we see states succeeding, we will shine a light on their important work. And where we see states falling short, we will work to bring transparency to their challenges and to serve as a resource to help improve their elections process. While we may not always agree about the best policies to implement or recommend to the states, I am confident in our ability to promote our shared interests and to always work professionally and efficiently together. The Constitution tells us that states, not the federal government, have primary authority and responsibility to set election laws and to administer federal elections. To that end, I am pleased to welcome today's witnesses from Ohio, Louisiana, and Florida, 3 states that are getting elections right and can share some of the policies and practices that have led to their success. It's important to hear from them about what their states are doing well. As a member from Florida, I am the first to acknowledge that our state didn't always run smooth elections. Most people here will still be familiar with the infamous Hanging Chad election of 2000. But over the last 2 decades, we've continued to identify areas for improvement and led the way to addressing those issues without top-down mandates from Washington, D.C. Today, Florida has an effective and thorough elections code, procedures, and safeguards. I'm proud that Florida is now a national leader in election administration and is an example of how continual review and improvement can lead to sustained success in elections integrity and administration. Data shows that after some states implement key election integrity measures, they experience increased voter turnout. That's why I think a great place to start this discussion is by reflecting on the 2022 midterms that just occurred, where elections administration was performed at a very high level. I'd like to applaud the vast majority of states and localities for their work. We should celebrate those states, like those represented here today, that have continually found ways to improve their process and to build voter turnout and voter confidence. It's simple. When voters have confidence that their ballot will count, they are more likely to vote. In Georgia, following efforts to increase voter confidence through Senate Bill 202, after lessons learned in previous years, there was all-time record turnout for a midterm election, with more votes cast than in any previous midterm. Despite enduring criticisms of election integrity measures and aspersions claiming that election turnout would be suppressed by reforms, Georgia had record-breaking midterm early voting turnout, record-breaking midterm absentee votes cast, and more Election Day votes cast in the 2022 runoff than on Election Day in the 2022 general election, the January 2021 runoff, or on General Election Day in 2020. In Louisiana, their midterms featured several strong voter integrity measures, like requiring photo identification to vote in person, and the state offering to provide free voter ID for voters that did not have one, not to mention the state's efforts to conduct elections during hurricane season. Ohio just signed into law key election integrity measures, including requiring photo ID to vote both in person and by absentee mail ballot. And now they're working to improve transparency even more. These are all huge wins for voters, and these efforts should be celebrated. Over the past 20 years, we've seen distrust in our elections processes and outcomes on both sides of the aisle. And while this will always be a process with room for improvement, it's important that we take a moment to celebrate the successes many states have achieved over the past several years to build election integrity and promote voters' faith in elections and confidence in their outcomes, while also working to promote voter turnout and engagement. We will work wherever possible to share accurate information with the public about elections and the integrity of our process. And as all our states learn how to better serve their voters through improvements and efforts in elections administration, this committee should promote information sharing between the states so they can learn from each other and implement best practices regarding elections without pushing a DC-based takeover or mandates. I look forward to hearing more from our witnesses about how states can continue to strengthen our nation's elections together. Through collaboration and commitment to effective policies and voter education, we can strengthen our nation's elections infrastructure and work toward building confidence in the security of each state's elections, the strength of our infrastructure, and the integrity of our results.